a lot of them in boxing. I don't want to downplay it because the title is a title and it can mean a lot to a fighter. But in the big scheme of things, it's not the biggest title in the world. Is the fight a good fight for him? He's fighting a guy 18-0 in that guy's backyard. That's really the question here. That's a tough fight for Jimmy James, who's never fought outside of Virginia.
So there's a calculated risk in taking a fight like this.
One thing we should point out, Arnie, Jimmy James' manager, Susan Beavers, and his trainer, Chris Beavers, are related to Doug Beavers, who is the IBF ratings chairman. And this is an IBF title fight. So he's got the right connections, which always helps.
This, of course, is a scheduled 12-rounder. We touched on this earlier on in the fight in our open. Neither one of these fighters, never mind that being 12, they haven't been 10. John Andrade has only been 8 one time. Jimmy James 5 rounds one time. If this fight gets into the late rounds, anybody's guess what could happen, Steve.
Strategically, it's going to be a very interesting fight because James is a puncher. He makes no bones about it. He said, I hope the fans boo me. I want them to boo me. I want to be the bad guy in this fight. And Andrade has shown sometimes a lack of patience and has brawled a little bit. So this could be a real action, quickie action, bang, bang
All right,
fight.
and we're going to go up to our ring announcer, Joe Rocco, with today's introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this event is sanctioned by the Rhode Island Department of Business, Regulation, the Division of Racing and Athletics. Barry Hittner is your Director of Department of Business Regulations. The doctor at ringside is Dr. Cedric Bright. The timekeeper is Paul Goodwin. This next bout is for the IBF Intercontinental Cruiserweight Championship. The referee is Chris Wallison. The judges are Charlie Dwyer, Harold Gomes, and Robert Paolino. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself for Fistic War. In the red corner, from Providence, Rhode Island, he weighed in at 188 pounds. His record is a perfect 18-0 with 12 big knockouts. He is the American Dream, John Andrade. And from Virginia Beach, Virginia, he is also undefeated, 8-0 with 7 knockouts. Put your hands together for Jimmy James. It's scheduled for 12 rounds for the Intercontinental Cruiserweight Championship.
John, Jimmy, I gave you your pre-fight instructions in the dressing room. Above all else, protect yourselves at all times and obey my commands promptly. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Well, this is the IBF rules. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. We score on the 10-point, not the 5-point must system. Only the referee can stop the fight.
And, of course, in the tail of the tape today, Andrade 3 years older, but Jimmy James coming in with a height and a reach advantage, and he weighed in just at the limit of 190 pounds. And round number 1 action here. We're scheduled for 12. And speaking of him coming in at 190 pounds, Steve, as we both know, Jimmy James actually came in at 192.5 and had to sweat off 2.5 pounds.
He said it was very easy to take off the 2.5, but I've never really heard a fighter say that it was difficult. So you don't know, and that's something to look at as the fight progresses. Will he be a little weaker in the late rounds because he struggled to take the 2.5 pounds off? We'll see.
Put it in perspective, because we're an afternoon fight. They weighed in 24 hours before the fight. It was at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So theoretically, he's had time to replenish his body. But, to me, you have to wonder sometimes, Steve, why would you bring a fighter in for a title fight at 2.5 pounds over the weight at the weigh-in?
Sure, exactly. He said, the scale he had was inaccurate, or the commission scale wasn't accurate, whatever. That's a common excuse, but the fact is there's really no excuse for that.
Let's see if James uses his height and reach advantage. So far seems to be able to get that jab in.
Andrade said yesterday he wanted to take it easy in the first few rounds. fight slowly, build to crescendo in the late rounds. And I expected James to come out a little more aggressively. So far, he hasn't.
Well, it's got to be a little bit more intimidating for James at this point. Only his 9th professional fight.
Double, right click. Step back.
Andrade, of course, 18-0. He's got some punching power. He's got 12 knockouts. James, 7 knockouts, of course, in his 8 wins.
Yeah, he has all those knockouts. He's never been, as we mentioned in the opening, he's never been past 5 rounds. That could be on his mind, and maybe that's why he's taking it easy here in the first round. He's only thrown about 3 or 4 punches here.
Well, Andrade as well has only been 8 one time, and that was back in 1993 against Rick Sullivan for an 8-round decision. Andrade came in at 188 pounds. The lightest he's ever weighed for a professional fight, Steve.
He's actually gone up to heavyweight. And,
he's fought at as high as 205.
I think he didn't feel right at heavyweight, and he came back down. And he says he walks around 194, 195. So cruiserweight is no problem really for him. Every cruiserweight, Arnie, as you know, wants to be a heavyweight. And it's all a matter of M-O-N-E-Y.
Coming near the end of round number 1. Feeling out round for both fighters. Come to the end of round number 1. We're scheduled for 12. And today, Heavyweight Explosion is brought to you by Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina. And we're also brought to you by the New England Ford dealers. Have you driven a Ford lately? Take a look at the corner there of Jimmy James. And if this fight goes past 5 or 6 rounds where he's never been, he may want to be in a Ford lately. And because
driving,
he may need the wheels. We'll have to see. That's
amazing, the segues Tokyo Rosenthal comes up with. That's trainer Chris Beavers and Goody Petronelli. We've seen that mug before with Marvin Hagler about 600 times in the 80s.
Of course, Robbie Sims, Marvin's half-brother as well. Still very active up here. Second round, we're scheduled for 12. The IBF Intercontinental Cruiserweight title at stake. John Andrade in the red, white, and blue shorts. Jimmy James from Virginia Beach in the white shorts with the red trim. There was a slight nick already on Jimmy James's Steve.
Yeah, I saw that in the first round. His face is reddening at a rapid pace. And I wonder if he's going to open up here to see if he's going to get a couple of cuts. I don't know if that's a cut on his forehead or what.
And you also have to wonder how he got it. That was a very uneventful first round. Not a lot of action. The round even. It's almost a classic feeling out round. But he seems already very red. Not necessarily puffy yet, but...
Well, it's now the second round, so the feeling out process is supposed to be over, and I'd like to see James throw some punches, which he's not doing.
He's very tentative here. Andrade not afraid to move in after throwing that first punch, come in with the second, doubling up on the jab, hooking off the jab. Good right hand, followed by a left uppercut.
James with the height advantage, very straight up. And when he gets hit, he kind of wobbles a little bit, even if he's not hurt.
James doesn't, you talk about him fighting straight up. He doesn't fight necessarily like an American fighter. He almost has a European style about him.
Yeah.
Where he didn't get it. Andrade got in there, threw 3 punches from 3 totally different directions, and James stood there.
With his gloves high, right?
Yeah, no movement.
Very European, it's true. Well, we want to see what he can do offensively. That's what we want to see. He's been tentative with his jab, and we haven't seen really any right hands or left hooks.
We're a little bit more than a minute to go here. Round number 2, it's scheduled for 12. We're on the Cedric Krishna Sports Network, and we'd like to say hello to everybody watching us today on the Pro Star Entertainment Network around the country. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal, along with Ring Magazine editor Steve Farhood. And right now, it seems like John Andrade, certainly the motivating factor of this bout seems to be leaning his direction. Wouldn't you say, Steve?
Oh, no doubt. He's taking the initiative. And I'll tell you, he's showing creativity with his offense. His combinations are kind of unpredictable. And he's getting some punches in, especially with the right hand. He's been effective.
I think he got a forearm in there, too. Chris Wallace, the referee, giving him a slight warning there, saying, don't let that forearm, when you miss that left hook, don't bring that forearm in with it. I was watching a TV movie the other day with Paul Hogan where he was instructing young fighters. He said, now remember to keep your left hook up because when you miss the left hook, make sure you hit him with the elbow instead.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to the end of round number 2. We're scheduled for 12 here in Warwick, Rhode Island on the Cedric Kushner Sports Network. Well, if the second round is any indication, Steve, the momentum is certainly swinging towards John Andrade. He's landing some good combination. And you take a look at early action here from round number 2. Hits him with that overhand right, followed by the left, and that's when he threw that 3-punch combination where we were saying that James looks like a European fighter just sitting there taking that. More action from round number 2, and we've yet to see any sort of aggression come out of Jimmy James.
It's true, and I think James has been a little overwhelmed by Andrade because Andrade's punches come from weird angles. Very, very unorthodox puncher.
James not taking advantage of his height and reach advantage either.
No, his jab has been totally ineffective so far.
Round number 3, we're scheduled for 12. You're watching Heavyweight Explosion, but we've come down in weight class today, and we've come down for a good reason. We've got the IBF Intercontinental Cruiserweight title. It's a vacant title. 2 undefeated fighters here, but they're coming from 2 totally different places, Steve, as we mentioned earlier. One fighter 18-0, another one maybe moving up in class a little too soon. And John Andrade taking advantage of the young Jimmy James. Young in boxing circles anyways, had only 8 professional fights, this being his 9th.
And for the first time there, it looked as if James was hurt. This is an important fight, not just because it's an IBF Intercontinental fight for Andrade, but he was born in Holland, moved to America when he was 20. And should he win this, Goody Petronelli says he may fight for the European Cruiserweight title, which would be a big step in his next fight.
That would be who would he fight for that?
I'm not sure who the European Cruiserweight champ is. I know Dennis Andres is still around over there. Maybe he'll get a fight with Dennis Andres.
Andrade really working the body, coming upstairs. Now James is standing there, showing no motion whatsoever. He's catching a lot of those punches, granted, Steve, on his gloves and his elbows, but wouldn't you think he'd need some lateral motion at this point? Get out of there?
Or punch back, because Andrade is very reckless when he punches, when he flurries like this.
And James is hurt. He got hurt with that right hand coming in. He's in a lot of trouble, Steve.
And there is no standing 8 count, according to the IBF rules. So referee Wallison can't come to his rescue.
Andrade's showing a lot of patience right now as he seems to be regrouping. James showing no offense whatsoever so far. There's under a minute to go in round number 3, and it's a scheduled 12-rounder. Face of James getting red and puffy.
He's taking a beating this round, Arnie, and I'll tell you, one more of those rapid-fire flurries from Andrade, and I wouldn't be surprised if this fight is stopped.
And he's not slipping to get away. He's not moving side to side to get away, and he's not throwing anything back. You know what that makes him? A punching bag.
That's right.
I'm very impressed with Andrade's poise, though.
He's regenerating right here.
Yeah, he's not punching himself out.
Yeah.
He's giving, So we're coming to the end of round number 3, and we're scheduled for 12. And good combinations at the end of the 3rd. Well, I think, Steve, at this point, we'd have to say that the feeling out that we talked about in round number 1 was indeed feeling out for Andrade, but that was the Jimmy James.
Jimmy James is just feeling punches now. There's no, he never really has been in this fight.
No. We take a look at action here from round number 3, and he had no idea what to do.
No,
now,
look how unorthodox that attack is, too. Andrade is just as likely to come under with a right hand as he is to come straight or come over. So very difficult to judge what to do against a guy like this or how to protect yourself.
I'm not sure that Jimmy James knows much about defense in the first place. His last 4 fights have all been first-round knockouts. I'm not sure the level of opposition.
Right.
And he's probably never been hurt before.
Exactly. And
round number 4, we're scheduled for 12. We're on the Cedric Kushner Sports Network. This is Heavyweight Explosion. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Steve Farhood. And as we mentioned earlier, we shed a few pounds and came down to the Cruiserweights today. And we're getting a very good look and see at undefeated John Andrade picking up where he left off in round number 3 against an overwhelmed Jimmy James. Steve, I don't know how else to put it.
Andrade's landing all of his right hands now. And they're starting to land flush, and he's following up with right uppercuts. Everything really is working for him offensively. And as you said, he's taking his time, keeping his distance so that he can pop in that long-range bomb and then follow up.
Andrade in beautiful shape. Goody Petronelli brought him in beautiful today. The lightest he's ever weighed as a pro, 188 pounds. We mentioned earlier, Jimmy James came in 2.5 pounds over the weight limit, had to sweat it off, and maybe that's got a big effect on where he's at today. He doesn't seem to have much. He might have spent it taking off that extra 2.5 pounds, which he sort of sloughed off when asked about it. Said, yeah, take it off easy.
He told me he used the facilities, to put it nicely, and he shadowboxed 1 round. And 2.5 pounds came off. That's what he said anyway. Arnie, Goody Petronelli yesterday said to me, Andrade's problem has been he boxes sometimes when he should be punching. He punches sometimes when he should be boxing. I don't think he'll have that criticism today of his fighter.
No, I think he's fighting a picture-perfect fight. He's not going crazy when he's got him hurt. As you mentioned earlier, he replenishes his arsenal. He's throwing all great combinations from different directions, working the body. He's got a good uppercut. Now again, Jimmy James is a stationary target.
Very, very awkward attack, however, from Andrade, which is causing James even further problems. But you just don't know where he's going to punch.
We're only 4 rounds into a scheduled 12-rounder, but based on a look and see so far, how do you think Andrade would do against some of the ranking and reigning cruiserweight in the world right now? And Al Cole and Orlin Norris.
Al Cole, boy, he's tough to fight. Al Cole's 6'4" and uses his jab, which is something James isn't doing. Orlin Norris, I wouldn't match any cruiserweight with because I think he's far and away the best fighter in the division. But, Andrade, Goody Petronelli said yesterday his comp has not been the best. He's admitted it. How much a step up this is, I don't know. But, he's a long way from the Orlin Norris's, obviously. But maybe he could fight a top 20 guy after a victory like this, beating an 8-0 fighter.
Or perhaps even an Adolfo Washington.
Adolfo Washington's pretty tough. He might be one of the top 5 cruisers in the world. So Europe sounds like a good option at this point.
And we're going to come to the end of round number 4. We're scheduled for 12. Quite a licking being given right now by John Andrade to the inexperienced Jimmy James. Now take a look at this jab here from round 4 action, followed by the right.
He's been doing that consistently, and that's been his
that uppercut,
right hand. Yeah, that right
double
uppercut's been his best
uppercut.
punch. Dangerous punch to throw, as we know, because he can be countered. But
Jimmy James is allowing him to do it, and if you're Andrade, if you're going to be allowed to make those kind of shots, do it. We can see. Listen to Goody Petronelli in the corner right now. Goody Petronelli has to be happy. You see the smile on his face. He says, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's about the best corner advice you can get.
Round number 5, scheduled for 12. Cruiserweights. You say, why do we have cruiserweights today at the Round Heavyweight Explosion? Because we were lucky enough to have the IBF Intercontinental Championship. We shed a few pounds. And John Andrade fighting a beautiful fight against a relatively inexperienced Jimmy James. Getting a bit of a boxing lesson here today after only 8 professional fights against the 18-0 John Andrade.
Arnie, I don't know how Jimmy James' face has survived so far without cuts. His face has been red. He's getting his flush.
Showing some heart, though. He's taking a pounding in there. Welts under both eyes now.
You gotta let it go! You got it right there! You gotta let it go! Come on, quickly!
A minute gone in round number 5. Assuming that Jimmy James gets through this round, he's going to be in uncharted waters next round. Never been past 5 rounds in his brief 8-fight pro career. Andrade, of course, has been 8 rounds once. We talked in our open, is that a factor here? Is Jimmy James saving himself? Or is it the 2.5 pounds that he had to shed?
I don't think he's saving himself. I think he may be fortunate at this point that the referee hasn't decided to save him. Where there were a couple of times there in earlier rounds where Wallison easily could have stepped in and said, that's enough. I tell you, James just landed a left hook there. That's really the first punch he's landed flush pretty much in the fight.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, John Andrade starting to let him get back into the fight. A fight that, well, as I say that, Andrade wakes up. And James is hurt.
Wallison almost stopped it.
Yeah, well, I couldn't tell if it was Owen. Looked like he hit him one shot when he was down, but that was definitely a momentum punch. And I thought that James was going to drop about 30 seconds sooner.
Right. Let's see what kind of finisher Andrade is here, because he has his man both weak and hurt.
He's very poised right now. He's not going crazy. He's picking his shots. I like this in a fighter. At the same time, with 25 seconds to go in round number 5, I think you ought to pick up the pace just a wee bit, because I don't think you want to give a 1-minute rest period to Jimmy James when you've got him in this condition right now.
And it wouldn't take much at this point to convince Wallison to stop the fight. You could tell. He's already almost done it once.
Jimmy James survives a great round by John Andrade. And it wasn't any one punch, Steve, from what I could tell, that really put him down. I thought he was going to drop about 15 seconds sooner. It looked like he got whacked in the eye.
It's been combinations all the way. And at this point, Arnie, do you think it's premature to ask if the corner should think about tossing in the towel?
If they're honest with themselves, we'll take a look here, though. Action for round number 5. I thought he was about to drop right around there.
Right.
It looked like
Wallison right here.
See, he grabbed his right eye.
He's going to stop the fight, too.
It looked like he got whacked in the eye. Caught a thumb there or something. And you can see, he can't see out of his right eye.
Ooh, left hook with the fighter down. He's very fortunate that Andrade is very fortunate he didn't get a point deducted. Look at the look on John James when he got hit with that punch when he was down.
Sixth round, scheduled 12. Jimmy James got knocked down in the 5th round, and he's in uncharted waters right now. He's never been past 5, and Andrade coming out trying to finish him right now. Very wobbly legs. Chris Wallison taking a very close look right now, Steve. And I think you're right. He could stop this fight.
One prolonged attack, one prolonged flurry. That's all it's going to take at this point.
And I think what you mentioned between rounds, should the corner be thinking about stopping this fight? At what point does the corner say, okay, we took a calculated risk, we put you in after 8 fights, we made a mistake, you weren't ready for this move up, let's save you any further punishment. You don't need to get hit in the eye like he did again.
He almost went last round. He's almost going again this round. I don't know, unless he's punching a little bit now. At least he's trying. But I would think maybe it's time after this round, if he doesn't do a little bit better, to say, as you said, we've made a mistake. Let's call it a day.
But I think the fact that he's throwing punches is what's caused this problem to a certain extent. Remember, we said at the beginning of round number 5, James is throwing some punches, but I think that's opening it up for Andrade to land better counter punches and the stronger shots. A reminder, we're scheduled for 12. They're fighting for the vacant IBF Intercontinental title. They're cruiserweights. It's Andrade in the red, white, and blue shorts. For a good right hand. And Jimmy James in the white shorts with the red stripe. And just joining us, James was on the floor in the 5th round. This is the 6th round. I'm sorry, Steve.
And Arnie, every time, it's interesting, every time Andrade hurts James, he tries that right uppercut. You notice that every time. I guess it must be his favorite punch.
That left hand getting lower and lower on the part of Jimmy James. He's just sitting there taking those right hands. Andrade taking the second half of this round off.
Shown a lot of patience, Andrade, hasn't he? I like the way he's backing up just a little bit, make James come to him, gives him more room to punch, more opening.
Oh, catches James walking in, and James holding on. We're under 20 seconds to go in round number 6. Andrade picking and choosing his spots, and very little offense coming out of Jimmy James. That's the end of round number 6. We're scheduled for 12 here on Heavyweight Explosion.
All right, get up for these fighters. Jimmy James, John Andrade. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget 2-4. Exciting.
Jimmy James breathing very heavily in the corner, Steve. We take a look now, though. John Andrade. He seems to be doing fine. Take a look, though, over here. Corner of Jimmy James.
Step it up, man. Step it up. Every time you fucking hit him, you hurt him. You know? But you got to fucking keep the pressure on. You get inside and you fucking lay on him like you like big man's laying on him.
Well, profanities aside, I don't know where they thought that Jimmy James was hurting John Andrade. I'd like to find the punch that he landed first and then decide whether he's even being hurt.
But the only thing he's hurting is Andrade's hands, because Andrade's hitting him on the head so often.
Okay. Round number 7, scheduled 12. It's been all Andrade. We had one knockdown. That was in the 5th round. That, of course, just joined us with Jimmy James down and John Andrade up. Very little offense shown here. And although the gloves are up, those punches are cutting right through on the part of Andrade now, Steve.
James is actually showing a pretty good chin. I mean, given that he's been down, he's taking those right hands flush, and I think the only way Andrade's going to get rid of him is with a flurry at this point. It doesn't look like one shot will do it.
Well, the question is whether showing a good chin, but is it a smart chin?
Stop holding, John.
Is it a smart corner at this point?
Which was my next thought. Nice body shot there by James in close. We try to do that more often, bring the hands down a little bit at John Andrade. Try to stop his offensive momentum. On the other hand, as we mentioned earlier, Andrade coming in at a very svelte 188 pounds, the lightest he's ever been for a professional fight. And Jimmy James coming in 2.5 pounds over at the weigh-in, had to shed 2.5 pounds, and he's hurt again, Steve. Chris Wallison taking a very close look now. There's no reason. He's going down on one knee. Stop. That's it.
A good stoppage. Maybe a punch or two late.
Wallison moved in very... You almost couldn't tell from the angle that Wallison was at. I don't know that he knew that James was going down on that one knee. And James wanted to continue. He was actually arguing. Look at him. He looks unhappy that this fight was stopped.
Tough all the way, but he was never in the fight, Arnie. We didn't give him a round.
Not a round. I didn't give him a quarter of a round. We take a look, Steve, at the final. And it was just target practice for John Andrade. And you're going to see Jimmy James slump down to one knee. Yeah. Chris Wallison finally comes in.
A good stoppage, Ronnie.
Oh. Take a look at it from another angle here. You're going to see Jimmy James think about first. He did a double take before he went down on the knee. Then, here we go. Finally followed through where he went all the way down. Chris Wallison finally comes in. Calls a halt to it. And Jimmy James wondering what the stoppage was about. And no cause to let it go on. And we're going to go up for the final decision and ring announcement from Joe Rocco.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by technical knockout, 1 minute and 45 seconds into the 7th round, and new IBF Intercontinental Cruiserweight Champion, John, the American Dream, Andrade!
John Andrade going to...
And how about a nice hand for Jimmy James, who put up a great fight for 6+ rounds. Jimmy James.
There you have it. John Andrade going to 19-0. That's his 13th knockout as he takes the vacant IBF Intercontinental title. Looking very good. Coming in at 188 pounds, he was in terrific shape, and one has to wonder, Jimmy James, besides coming in for this fight after only 8 professional fights, shows up 2.5 pounds heavy at the weigh-in. He had to sweat that off yesterday afternoon. John Andrade, though, in control for the entire fight. Very little offense. And we're going to go up to Steve Farhood at ringside, and he's with John Andrade. Go ahead, Steve.
John, congratulations. That was an awfully impressive victory. It seemed like Goody had nothing bad to tell you. In between rounds, you were doing everything right. Do you agree?
Yeah, I had a few mistakes, but he told me that they weren't that big. And I knew I was ahead on points. It was just a matter of time to get him out of there. But he was a smart fighter. I could see that he knew what he was doing, so I was taking my time too. I didn't want to go out there wild and punch.
It seemed really that you took control early, that he really never was in the fight, never threatened you. Did you feel like you could just pace yourself and almost stop him? You know, you knew you were going to stop him in the later rounds?
Yeah, I knew I had to pace myself. First of all, because I knew he was in shape because the way he was conducting himself, and I see in his eyes that he was pretty confident in shape. So I just didn't want to rush it. I knew it was going to come sooner or later. I didn't want to rush it.
One of the things that impressed me, always throwing punches in combination, and also very diverse attack. A lot of different types of punches. Uppercut. The right uppercut was very effective. Lead left hooks. All different kind of punches. Is that standard with you?
Well, it wasn't before. Before it was all power. But when you turn your style into speed, you can do all those things. You can do whatever you want with speed. Power, it'll be strong enough.
You were born in Holland. You came here when you were 20 years old. We talked yesterday a little bit about the fact that maybe the next fight, the one after, you may go for a European Cruiserweight title. Now that's a step up from here. You feel you're ready for that jump?
I think I am, definitely. Especially because it's going to be in Europe. I'm from there, so I'm going to be extra motivated.
You told me you used to watch a lot of fights, Muhammad Ali fights at 3 in the morning, and you're back in Holland with your dad. Your dad has never seen you fight. If he watched this one on TV, which you said maybe he did, what do you think he would have said?
I still don't think he likes me fighting. He'll be happy that I won. I'm up here, but he still doesn't agree, especially my mother doesn't agree. She'll probably watch me right now. Hi, Mom.
Well, even if they don't approve, we certainly like what we saw. Congratulations on a very good victory, John Andrade, and back to Arnie Rosenthal at ringside.
Thank you, Steve. And there you have it, John Andrade, the new IBF Intercontinental Cruiserweight Champion. Earlier today, we had a terrific fight here. We're going to pick it up in the 6th round, junior welterweights. Manuel Batista from Brooklyn, New York versus local favorite here, Ray